Hi there and welcome. Really glad you're with me here today, and I've got a very, very special guest. You know, it's not often that you interview a giant or nor the son of a giant. And Paul Lewis Cole is with me, and I knew of Paul's dad because really he's kind of the founder of the whole Christian men's movement. And he started this thing called the Christian Men's Network. Now Paul is the president of the Christian Men's Network, and it is transforming lives all over the world. Now, so I'm just going to say, welcome, Paul. Welcome to our New Life live Facebook live thing that we're doing here. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. And Steve, great to talk to you. You know, the materials you have produced, what New Life has done over the years, we intersect. I mean, we basically are completers of each other.
We are.
And what you guys have done is just remarkable. So I thank God for you.
Thank you.
You know, it's been pretty amazing to watch and see it happen.
Well, you may not know this, but we have something in common, Willie Nelson. And whereas you were a huge part of launching Farm Aid with Willie Nelson.
Yeah, Willie and I did that together. Yeah.
It's awesome that you did that with him. My connection to Willie Nelson was when I was in college. He was doing Willie Nelson 4th of July picnics, and it was kind of like a Woodstock country western thing. And I went out there and spent the night out in the open to be with Willie Nelson. So that's my only connection to Willie. You did a lot more for him.
Okay, so your connection with Willie wasn't based on plant life or something?
No, fortunately not. I'll tell you another connection. Another connection that we have is that you have done so much to help folks in Africa with AIDS, and it's an issue that's been close to my heart because my brother, back in the early 80s, contracted AIDS when it was in its most virulent stage, and he died very quickly of it. And so I've always been thankful for folks like you that are helping others with it. But while we have you here, and as the founder of the Christian Men's Network, you have focused on, I mean, you know, you've got a PhD, you've got a lot of things that you've done, but there are a lot of guys, well, first let's just talk about this. A lot of guys that are really not living the way they want to live, and now that this COVID-19 has struck, they've kind of turned to the worst, and like domestic violence is. Let's just talk about this. Is not a good time for men that weren't firmly planted and deeply rooted in God's truth.
Yeah, because pressure magnifies, Steve, and you know this in your work, your clinical work. Pressure magnifies. So if there's a fault line, it's kind of like an earthen dam. If there's like the ones that took off, were destroyed in Michigan the last couple of days. If there's a little fault line somewhere, that stream of whatever's happening is going to find the fault line.
Yeah.
You know, John 10:10 is a real thing where Jesus said the enemy's just trying to rip us off.
That's right.
So what happened, Steve, in the whole stay-in-place decrees for thousands of women and children became a stay-in-hell decree.
That is so true. Staying in hell, right there, stuck.
Yeah, we kind of joke about the fact that there's going to be a baby boom in December. But, Steve, I think the issue is going to be the divorce boom that happens in July.
I've been saying the exact same thing.
Yeah.
When people have said, yeah, we're going to have a bunch of babies, I said, yeah, you know what? I think divorce. I'm with you.
No, it's going to be, and then the fatherlessness, which we know is the leading indicator of poverty in any part of the world.
Right.
So let's just take some of those things that are happening under COVID. Immaturity is the cause for fatherlessness. I mean, we just cut right to the chase, which is kind of your style anyway.
Right.
So fatherlessness comes out of the immaturity of men because they don't keep their word. Okay.
Right.
Fatherlessness is the leading indicator of poverty. Los Angeles Health Department 2 weeks ago came out with a study that said poverty is the reason that more people die in urban situations. They said if you have more than 30% poverty rate, the rate of death by COVID goes up 300%.
Incredible.
So what we're really talking about, if you tie those things together, is the immaturity of men kills people.
So true. Yep.
So
And there's just no
and
way
we
to
talked
dance
about this
around
for
that.
years.
Yeah.
No, you can't. And why dance around it? Because everybody listening knows somehow this is true. Look at Austin, Texas, Steve. This was amazing. In April, as fast as they could write the paperwork, they were putting out restraining orders. As fast as they could get the paperwork done.
Isn't that sad? And
unbelievable. Over and over, and we see it even in France. 36% increase in domestic violence. So they're building pop-up centers, trauma centers, in France. It's true in Indonesia. It's all over the world. But here in North America, you just don't expect it, in one sense, to be as openly tragic as it is.
yeah,
Just the local hospital where I live, Steve, they said there's been an uptick, almost double the number of children who come in who are battered and bruised. They've had 4 deaths in the last 2 weeks of infants.
Now, I want people to know, this is real. This isn't some new thing that somebody's getting all bent out of shape over or overly reacted. It's a new thing. All right. Now, here's one of the things that I love about you and your work. You know the problem. You've got the statistics and all of that, and you know how serious things are. And we're not out to make men look bad. And the cool thing about you is you actually have implemented some things that help a guy get better. And, when Fred Stoker and I wrote Every Man's Battle, people said, well, the value of that is it tells you what to do, not just how bad you are. So I want to focus on this really cool triage kind of situation, 6 different stages.
We called it triage for the troubled heart.
Okay.
In other words, what are the practical things a man can do? Okay, you told me the problem. It's kind of like I played golf once with a guy, Steve, and he was swearing. He's doing all these things, and about 2/3 of the way through, he finds out I'm a follower of Christ. He goes, "Pardon my French."
It wasn't French, was it?
I said to him, "Dude, I know French. That's not French."
Yeah.
But here's the deal. So the fact is that real stuff is real stuff, and you can't just cover it up. And he tried to be all nice. He said, "Don't worry about it. Here's the thing." And he started telling me about his kids. So you don't have to tell somebody they're messed up.
Right.
I already know that I've got issues.
Yeah.
So what do I do about it? First of all, I think what happened to us, and you know this better because you're the guy who knows all this. You're the guru of all things psychology. Maybe guru is not the right word on it.
I hope not. But anyway, I get it. Thank you for the compliment. Yeah.
So the fact is that, number one, what's happened to men is we've lost our rhythm.
Yeah.
We've lost, and if you will, rhythm goes with atmosphere. In other words, things grow or die based on the atmosphere. Paul said in Galatians 5, he said, "Who bumped into you and caused you to lose stride?" So the rhythm of a man's life is based on, I go get stuff done. I solve problems. Now I'm being told to sit back, don't do anything. There's nothing you can do. And I'm being told to hunker down, get inside. I'm being told to do everything that a man is not wired to do.
Right.
It's kind of like trying to put 6-year-old boys in seats in a school and ask them to act, act right. You can't do it. And so a man's not designed for that. We're designed to do things. So your rhythm, number one, I tell guys all the time, Steve, get your rhythm back.
Yeah.
If you were getting up at 5 a.m. to get to your job, I'll give you a break. Get up at 5:45.
Yeah.
But grab Proverbs like today, the particular day we're talking. I read the proverb for the day of the month it was. Okay? I read Proverbs. Just get in the word practical, rhythmic things to get that thing back. See, I think, Stephen, you talk about the narcissism of men. You talk about all these different things. I think the fact is a lot of us as men live with great disappointment.
Yes.
And this is a fantastic opportunity to say, number one, get my rhythm back. 2, have the courage to say I'm sorry to somebody that you've just absolutely just obliterated with your voice or whatever. John Eldridge the other day, he and I were talking, and he said every man needs a trash can lid and a baseball bat. I said, why is that? He said he needs to just take the trash can lid and the baseball bat, go out back and just beat the heck out of the trash can lid. Then come back in and tell everybody he's sorry for the way he's been acting.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, it's courage. It's courage, Steve. You know, it's the Bible, following Jesus Christ is a full contact sport. And it is about becoming what you know you were designed to be.
Right.
So number one is rhythm. Get that rhythm back. Don't lose it. You know, I saw, did you see this thing you've seen on the internet, all these memes? And one of them was, you know, the little voter registration says, I voted, the little thing you go in and
right.
The little thing he puts on your shirt. Well, I saw one somebody had designed, a little sticker that said, I showered.
Yeah.
Well, and I thought, no, that's not right. I had a guy the other day, Steve, he said, called me up. He said, would you pray for my wife and I? You know, we'd like to have a baby. You know, so I said, okay, pray for you. And we're chatting for a little bit. I said, how's work going and whatever? He says, man, we haven't been in for a couple of weeks. And he laughed. He said, you know, I haven't taken a shower probably, I can't remember, maybe 3 or 4 days. And I said, bro, I am not praying for you to have a baby. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Take a shower, then I'll pray for you. And we lose our rhythm easily. Yeah. We're easily distracted. Distraction leads to disconnection, discontent, and from there, that leads to the death of the third thing that we talk about, which is vision. Don't stop dreaming.
Yeah.
When Daniel was taken captive, Jeremiah wrote him a letter. It's Jeremiah 29. We love verse 11. My thoughts for you are not for your destruction, but to get you a hope and a future. Okay. But the first part of that chapter, Stephen, he writes to Daniel, and he tells these guys whose folks have just been killed, whose home has been destroyed, they're captive, and he says, don't try to escape, but be excellent in what you do. Plant crops, do the right thing. Mard Bosh is the Farsi word. I don't know if they were speaking for, but the Hebrew letter, but Farsi, Mard Bosh, be a man. And then he said, multiply. In other words, don't stop dreaming of what your life will be. And Steve, I tell guys all the time, you know, a dream without a date is just a fantasy.
Yeah.
So put a date on it. Begin to speak about it. What am I going to be when I come out of this? And maybe it's a pivot.
Yeah.
Maybe I've got to go to school. I mean, the stuff that you have, what's on YouTube now, you could start classes in 18 months from now. You could be skilled in a whole new skill.
Well, you know,
that's what David and his guys had to do.
I think a lot of guys, in the virus situation, you're experiencing literal unemployment, or you're experiencing what it's like to not have the routine that you're talking about. And so you get the routine, and then you get this vision that you're talking about. You put the date on it, and then, like you're saying there, then you ask yourself, how do I get there? And it might be that rather than moping around and feeling bad and sorry and lashing out in anger, we actually sign up for something. We decide, let's take the class, let's do it. I mean, that's so powerful.
Yeah, and number 2, where it says courage, you know, vision is forged in the discipline to extract yourself from the unnecessary.
Yeah.
So we get so easily distracted, and I hear people talking about, well, I binged on Netflix all weekend. And I'm like, what a waste of the days of your lives. How many do we have? I don't know what the stat is. I don't know if we have 190,000. I have no idea.
It's not a lot.
3 times not as 20. Anyway, bottom line is one day is so valuable. You know, I don't have a problem with the guy just saying, hey, I just took the morning off. Yeah, good. Maybe you needed a Sabbath morning. Those are healthy. You teach that all the time. But what about that 1 hour that you just absolutely did nothing right or nothing good, or you started getting into porn or some other stuff that now your brain is fogged. Now you can't think, because that's really the issue of porn. It's not just the sin, it's the shame that follows you like a cloud. Now you can't think properly.
Got all that in
you've
there.
Taught that for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so have the courage to just go, you know what? The enemy's trying to rip me off right now. And it's not just you, because your life is lived not only in the context of our culture, but your life is the context for the people around you.
And so when a guy finds himself empty, out of the routine, he's so out of it that he literally can't develop any kind of momentum. He's really lost it. When you get to that point, what do you say to that guy who really is, he wants to be better, but he's kind of gotten so far down and out of the routine and stuff that he needs some extra push? What do you say to that guy?
Well, here's the deal, and this is basically in 5 levels of triage. The 4th one is brotherhood, friendship. In other words, there are men in your life, no matter who's listening right now, because we know in our lifetime we impact, 87,000 people, even if we don't go very far from our home. But you influence people. There are people in your life that a text. I had a friend of mine the other day. I did a little online teaching thing. We've got guys that show up for a Bible study every Monday night, a book study. And so a friend of mine, texted me. And all he texted was, "Hey, man, that was really great." And then P.S. That's his initial. That was it. It wasn't like a flowery thing. And you know what, Steve? That right there, Stephen, that just absolutely just lifted me. It doesn't take a whole lot to help somebody tip the right direction. And men are like trees. We have a tendency to fall the way we're leaning.
So true.
Brotherhood, man. Brotherhood. Elijah, here's a good one. Elijah finds himself sitting in a cave. He's suicidal. He told his servant, just forget it. You leave. He's killed 450 guys. He called fire from the sky, right? Fire comes from the sky, kills all these priests. And then a woman puts a contract on his head. And he runs. He's in a cave. And he goes, "You might as well kill me. I'm the only one left." And then God says to him, Stephen, this is really key. God says to him, "No, I've got 7,000 other men who have not bowed their knee." Now, my question to you and me and to our friends listening is, why didn't he know one of those guys? Why didn't one of those guys jump in with him as he's taking off from what happened? That's brotherhood. So not only do we need to be recipients, we need to give it. Proverbs teaches us if we give, we'll receive. So brotherhood's really key. And I see churches across the nation with all the digital stuff and using the Vimeo and the Zoom and the Skype and all this stuff. I see connections happening. They're absolutely remarkable. But don't think just because a guy's on the screen that he's just okay.
I want to make this point with Jeremiah. Here he is, and he's just had the world's greatest, maybe the first barbecue ever, where the recipe was directly from God, and then after that big victory is despair. And I think that is such a story for so many of us also, that you have to be ready for that. And if you don't have, like you're saying, if you don't have other men, if you don't have brotherhood, fellowship, that you're going to mess up and you're going to get yourself in trouble. Well, I wish we had more time, but I want to have you back again. But encourage some guy who is just as lonely, isolated, and down as Jeremiah was. What do you say to that guy?
Elijah.
I meant Elijah. Sorry about that.
It's all Old Testament. So it's kind of like where I live in Texas. Anything north of the Red River, we just don't really have too much of a concept of it. So, but the fact is if a guy's feeling down, and I'll speak to a wife or to you're a friend of a man you know is not feeling well, call one of his buddies and say you need to call him.
Yeah.
You know, if your husband's, you know he's not doing well, and he's not going to receive a word from you.
Right.
I've had this happen at least 4 or 5 times in the last few weeks. Somebody call and say, hey, and my wife would say, hey, I was just talking to so-and-so, you ought to check in on him. And here's the way I check in on him is, number one, hey, how you doing? And then the answer is always, I'm fine. And then the next question is, no, seriously, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And to a man who's listening right now, you were fashioned by God to have dreams, desires, and wins and victories. But victories are always in the other side of a fight. I would encourage you to fight. If you can get up and move. If you can't get up, set up. Begin to move in the right direction. And God will give you the strength to take the next step. You know, Stephen, this is really key right now for men in particular because this has really been a difficult time. If you're married to a man who's having a tough time, call one of his friends. Call one of his buddies and say, hey, this has happened to me. Well, my wife has come to me twice now and said, hey, so-and-so needs a call. I go, okay, cool. And now you don't have to go in and try to be the Holy Spirit in his life, and he'll listen to one of his friends, and he might share something with one of his friends that he wouldn't share otherwise. Yeah. If you know a man who's a friend of yours and he's having a difficult time, call one of his friends and say, hey, check on so-and-so. And if you're a man listening right now, I want you to know that you are not beyond the reach of God.
Amen.
That even Jonah, who spoke to God's face and told him he had a bad idea and then ran, even Jonah, God saved his life, rescued him by sending a fish when he tried to commit suicide by being thrown off a boat. And God rescued him, put him back in his destiny. Listen, you're one phone call, you're one prayer away from moving towards the healing you desire and that God has designed you for on the face of the earth and your purpose in your life right now.
Well, Paul, thank you for being with us. You have you're doing a Brave Men podcast. How do people find that? How do they find out about what you're doing to help encourage men, to bring men together?
Yeah, Brave Men podcast, and you need to be on it. We just had Colonel Oliver North on, and
awesome,
and others, great men. It drops twice a week on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeart.
Wonderful.
Anywhere fine podcasts are. Brave Men with Paul Lewis Cole.
Brave. Well, Paul, thank you for all you do. Look forward to our paths crossing really soon. God bless you, and just keep up what you're doing. You're encouraging men, but you're also calling men out. And so many of us men, we're not everybody's an athlete. Not everybody is a symphony leader. We're all different and unique, but we all need each other, no matter what. Yeah. So God bless you. And thank you, Paul.
Yeah, every man needs a word, and sometimes it's just a word from a brother who says, "Let's go do this."
Amen. All right. God bless you.
Thanks, Stephen. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Man.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. Listen, you guys, find that podcast, and it could really be the key to maybe establishing the true manhood that you've been looking for, godly manhood. It's Brave Men. I'll tell you, we need courage. And, of course, courage and bravery, that's doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done, no matter the consequence. And we need some men to step up. Brave Men. Find that podcast.